Jolt people! So, I'm low-key kind of mad right now. What up, Jolt? So, I don't really like things that are not fair. Especially like when one person is giving something and they don't like do that same thing for other people. You know, it's just very selfish. I don't like it. Well, I heard this story about this guy and he owed like a ton of money to somebody, and all of a sudden this guy was like, hey, you gotta pay me my money, and first guy couldn't do it. And so he goes and he begs and he pleads because he was gonna lose his house, he was gonna lose his car, he was gonna lose everything he had, his family was gonna leave him, he was gonna be out of everything. But the other person, because he begged and pleaded and he understood his situation, actually forgave all of his debt and said, you know what? Forget it. Don't worry about it. I know it's a lot of money, but you just keep it. We're good. I forgive you. Move on. So, I mean, that part of the story sounds great. But then I saw this same guy like 3 or 4 days later, and he actually went up to somebody that owed him just a little bit of money. And he was so mad. He was so angry. Like, he goes up, this guy like grabs him by the neck and is like, you gotta give me my money. And this guy couldn't, just like he couldn't earlier. And so he actually presses charges, makes this guy go to jail. And it's like, what are you doing? I just don't, and like, it doesn't seem fair, right? Like, somebody forgave him for all of this huge amount of money that he owed. And then when somebody owed him a small amount, he couldn't just kind of like do the same thing. He actually gets all angry and violent with that guy. Like, just not cool, bro. Well, this is actually a parable from the Bible. Remember, a parable is a made-up story. It's fiction. It's not real. It's a made-up story, but with a purpose. Like, it's supposed to teach us something. And this is actually a parable taught by Jesus. Now, do you know the question that someone asked Jesus right before he told this story? Probably not. Well, Peter, one of Jesus' closest followers, closest disciple, asked him, Jesus, how many times should I forgive someone? Should I forgive someone 7 times? Which 7 seems like a lot, and back then the standard was 3. You forgive somebody 3 times, you move on. So Peter thought he's being all like, I'm gonna go 7. And Jesus' response is, Peter, actually 70 times 7, which they couldn't do that math. That's a nonsense number. In other words, you should always forgive someone. And then he tells this story about a guy that is forgiven for a lot, but won't forgive somebody else for a little. The story makes me have lots of questions, which most things make me have questions. I'm like, why would Jesus want us to forgive that many times? That's interesting. Because forgiveness is difficult. It's hard to do. I think many times we don't quite understand exactly what forgiveness is. So we're gonna talk about that in your groups in like 10 seconds. The point today is that God's love forgives. God wants to forgive you. God will always forgive us because God has so much love, and God's love forgives. That means we also need to forgive. So first question in your group, which person in this story do you think Jesus was using to refer to us?